Hello. What is the first thing that you do when you pick up a banjo? Answer, tune it. They notorious for going out of tune. You just have to breathe on them, they go out of tune, especially if you've got nylon strings like I have. And so, yeah, tune them. And what do you tune them to? Well, if you're playing bluegrass, you probably tune to a standard G tuning, which involves making sure that all the open strings sound notes that come from a G chord. And I think I just kicked the table. Never mind. And why we do that? Well, we do that because a lot of songs are in G, and having a G chord there, not involving any fingers, makes life a bit easy. If you fall into trouble, then you can just play notes from the G major chord, which will always fit in pretty well with whatever it is you're supposed to be playing. But there's another tuning that is fairly common called G modal tuning. It takes that G tuning and twists one of the notes away. It takes this B here and puts it up to a C. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, I found out why you'd want to do that this week, and it was in the context of a tune. A nice fellow told me about Doc Boggs, and I followed up that name on YouTube and found some lessons about how to play like Doc Boggs that looked very good, and I started on a tune called Wild Bill Jones, and this is how the tune goes. You just repeat that over and over again. And that tune uses the notes from that scale. Which technically is an E minor pentatonic scale. E because it starts and finishes on E, and minor pentatonic because it sounds minor and because it's got 5 different notes. And then that's another E up there. And so if I try and play that, not trying to imitate Doc Boggs, just the way I would pick it, it goes something like this. Which is all very well, but then I found out that there's another way of doing it. It's exactly the same tune, but in a different tuning. And the tuning is that modal tuning I was telling you about. But to play it easily, you don't do it in an E modal tuning. Oh, sorry, you do it in an E modal tuning. And the way I get that is by taking the G modal tuning and tuning it down three semitones. So it's the same tune, but what do I get? What's the difference? Well, the difference is that the notes now, instead of falling on open strings and in the second fret, fall on open strings and the third fret. There's the E on the third string instead of being on the fourth string. Sorry, so it goes. Oops. There's the E. Now, what difference does that make? Well, the difference is that when you play it, you've got all these lovely hammer-ons and pull-offs, which are the fallback ornamentation that banjo players use. You've got so the second version of Wild Bill Jones goes a bit more complicated than the first one. It goes. Oh no, got lost. Okay, but the point is, if I was doing it well, it seems to me that when you've got these effects available to you, you can pretty up the song a lot more than you can. Well, I can do it that way. It's easier for me, and I think the secret of banjo tuning is to make it easy for the banjo player. So I've got these things I can do, but they don't have quite the sound that you get out of the modal tuning. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I discovered. What I think must be the real reason why people bother with modal tunings rather than just sticking to major tunings. I hope that makes some sense, and I'll see you next time.